Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, or at least hope you're holding out fine. And welcome to this new video on the markets. We're going to do a full market update this afternoon. The US session has just opened about 17 minutes, so you can see there's quite a lot of volume and volatility coming into the markets. I wanted to do a full update in this video, kind of to prepare you for what's coming and what's possible. The title of the thumbnail and maybe also the title of the video will be something like crypto crash coming or something. It's a little bit clickbait, but I did want to speak about that a little bit here at the start of the video, right? And then we'll talk about some fundamentals, which I think are also crucial in understanding whether we can actually get a crash or not. And then we'll talk about XRP, we'll talk about Ethereum. Ethereum is still holding on incredibly well, by the way, but if you watch my XRP and Ethereum videos, you're still completely prepared for what's coming, right? I mean, what we said in there in the last couple of days has 100% happened and was 100% predictable and expected. So congratulations if you follow those a little bit. Bitcoin, however, has been a little bit weaker than expected. And I think altcoins in general, especially right now that a lot of altcoins are following Bitcoin quite closely, that hasn't moved as expected. So the main question is can we actually, or do we actually expect a crypto crash soon? And I think that's unlikely. All right, if we go back to every crash that we had for Bitcoin, if you go back to the 22nd of June, if you go back to the 8th of April, if you go back to March right here, like a crash is very often, not always, but very, very often, it is fueled by bearish fundamentals, right? And at this point of time, look, first of all, technically we are at a major support level right here around 110,000. Where we have a major technical support level, we have a fair value gap. If you go to the, I think the 12-hour time frame, you have the 200 EMA. So we have a very strong support level right here, which we haven't broken below. So then to push down below that, yesterday, by the way, we also had a major liquidation spike. That's also often a bottom. So you know, to push down below a major level like that, I do think we need some sort of a fundamental catalyst pushing us below that, right? And when we're talking about fundamentals right now, and when I go over fundamentals, I don't think they're bearish enough to get a move like that. If I take a look at the S&P 500, we opened a little bit lower. We have a fair value gap to the downside we can fill. That's all true, right? But I don't see this getting bearish, right? So the most I can see for now is that we pull back a little bit deeper into that fair value gap, maybe into 108,000, the 0.618 VIP, but I do think we'll find support there. And I don't think that we're going to get into a rally straight away, but I do think we can get some more stability, right? Stability like we have also seen since the 15th of July. We've had bearish days, we've had bullish days, but ultimately it was quite stable, if you zoom out at least. And that's what I expect for now as well. I don't see a technical reason why we would drop down lower. Most of the selling pressure we've seen over the course of today was also with low volume, so there's not a lot of conviction behind it. And I don't see enough technical or fundamental reasons to do that, right? Not only is the S&P 500 holding up well, the Russell 2000 is holding up well, the volatility index is very low and dropping. Gold is very stable, it's nowhere near breaking out. And then we have a rate cut coming in September most likely, right? With an 86% probability. So that's why I don't think you need to be afraid for a crash. But I do think we can spike down a bit lower. Like that level between 110 and 108,000 is still an area which I think we can spike down into, get one more liquidation spike before bouncing. Now, when we're talking briefly about XRP and Ethereum, I'll try to keep this video short, but briefly talking about those. Look, Ethereum is still holding on incredibly well. If you look at Ethereum, you would say there's nothing going on, even though, I mean, altcoins have dropped down quite a bit, right? So there is something going on in terms of momentum, bearish momentum. But Ethereum is holding on amazing, right? It's holding that level at 4,600, 4,500. Same thing with Bitcoin. We can drop down into 45, 4,400. That's also what we spoke about Friday and Saturday last week, right? But I do expect that to hold, and I expect Ethereum to remain stable as well. I think it's unlikely that Ethereum is going to trend up towards 5,250 straight away, but trending up there eventually is what I do expect. And XRP just hit a major support level at 2.95. Again, to fill the entire imbalance, we could drop down to 2.88, where we also have a single print imbalance. major support. I think we can drop down lower, especially if we get some bad news, whatever. But I do expect a bounce there and stability, right? So I actually do expect the same for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, but I think Ethereum is the strongest, XRP is the second strongest, and Bitcoin at this point of time is still the weakest. I mean, take a look at the Bitcoin dominance and tell me that Bitcoin is not weak right now. It is. Okay, so altcoins. Are there some altcoins that I think are quite interesting right now? There's a couple of manipulated coins that I think are quite interesting. So Spark is quite interesting. Ontology is quite interesting. There's a bit of a China narrative going on with Neo being quite strong, Quantum being quite strong, and Conflux not really, but Conflux has had an amazing July, so you know, give it a break. And outside of that, I mean, what do we have? I think that's about it. I mean, I don't want to stretch this video out too long. No, I'll keep it at that, right? But when we're talking about narratives for altcoins in general, it's still Ethereum, very strong Ethereum ecosystem. The Ethereum ecosystem is a little bit weaker, but I do think that those will come back. And I actually think that last but definitely not least, but I think that the Solana ecosystem, or at least Solana itself, which can turn into momentum for the Solana ecosystem, like Jupiter, Jito, it's quite strong as well. So make sure to keep an eye on that as well. But that's it for now. Jupiter is actually the strongest crypto right now in the last 2 hours or so. So those are my thoughts. That's what I think you need to know. Hopefully it helps. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great Monday. Take care and bye.